clear financial return, it's about growth. And sometimes growth has an impact on community. And what we always wanted to have was this balance between we're doing something for the sake of the community, and we wanted to be able to maintain that control. And so it was a really important step for us. But I will say that on the board front, like I wasn't involved in the details of that discussion, because a lot of that happened much later in the process, actually, arguably in the last 6 months. But what I hear from Harry is they've been on board. I mean, they've been on board for a long time, and we've been talking about it for quite a long time.
The investors, like in Square, the investors like push back, the venture capitalists.
No.
All right, maybe another question. Yeah.
Hi, this is Nora I'm actually from New York. Diner's my favorite restaurant, so I'm pretty stoked to hear that.
Harry doesn't work there anymore.
Too bad.
Okay, why don't you use the mic, I think, so that the people behind you do it.
And just, I've had a lot of friends have pivotal moments in their career kind of funded by Kickstarter, so I just want to thank you on their behalf.
Thank them.
I will. But regarding kind of your dream and your vision, it seems like you've realized that I guess you've left the company. So a little bit of insight on what you're thinking next, and is there something bigger you wanted to do with Kickstarter as a platform? Because it's kind of meta, right? You're helping other people reach their dreams, but what do you want to do, and do you feel like you've kind of gotten the pinnacle of that? And how does that feel?
Yeah,
Most of us don't know what that's like.
I'll probably be asking that question for the rest of my life. I don't know. So I'll draw a connection between like Kickstarter and the projects I was working on before, which might answer the fulfillment piece, like being fulfilled. I get excited by watching people make stuff. I get excited about people being in their zone. I get excited about the stories behind things that people make. I am not the best with my hands, meaning like I don't make art. I tinker with music, but I've never made a full track. Like, I'm not a completist on that front. And so I get excited when somebody's actually being able to transact that, especially when I tinker and I'm like, what the fuck? I don't have that sort of patience. So Subsistence, this sort of side project, was definitely a springboard for that. Kickstarter was a penultimate of that. I am starting to tinker with another project, which I'm not going to talk about, but allude to, which has a similar vein, which is about enabling people to explore their own creativity. I think that's my theme, if there was a theme. Is that your question?
Yeah.
Good
Okay, there was a question over at the front.
Sure. My name's Lee Han. I CMO of a company locally. So my question is around sort of going back to the gentleman's question at the back around investors, right? So you've made it pretty clear that you guys are going to exit. So could you talk a little bit about that? Like, did the investors know that going into the company, and what are they going to do with their money that's in the company?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been our narrative from day one. I think they get that from us just hanging out with us, right? Like it spills out, and they were bought into the sort of social mission of the company, but they also saw it as an opportunity. We will do what's right so that they have some form of liquidity, and they know that going into it. They obviously have some control in that facet. You were asking about Union Square. Fred is on our board, and this is a decision that the board also has to uphold. So Fred also has to uphold the benefits of the corporation. So he's certainly bought into it. It's not something that we can force.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
I like that you guys are so interested in the B Corp thing.
Hi, my name is Wanki, and I have a question about what you say about focus, and I think this is also including a part of quality control, because I love Kickstarter. Every time when I see, always some new exciting projects is happening there. But I also can see like Kickstarter compared to like Indiegogo.
Yeah.
So like, but I mean like, like Kickstarter limit the country of the campaign owners to run from.
Wait, sorry, say that part again.
Kickstarter limit the countries.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's also part of the quality control. And then also Kickstarter only allow for all or nothing. If the campaign owner couldn't achieve the goal, they cannot receive any money.
Yep.
So just I'm very curious, like how those things are evolved from the beginning to till today.
Yeah. So I like your reflection on the country thing about quality control and focus. I've not thought of it that way, but it is actually quite accurate. On the all or nothing thing, that's been there from day one. And before we had launched, we actually Perry had sort of instigated a discussion about, like, let's not die on that sword if it's not the sword to die on. Thankfully, we didn't have to change that. It worked quite well. Do you want to know the thinking behind that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. So it's pretty simple. If you say it's going to take $500 to make something, it's going to take $500 to make something. At least how you've pitched it. It should. And so if you don't raise $500, then you can't make something that you promised to make. And how would you then come up with the other funds, right? And so, and just add to that, like, just again, thinking about, and this is a product thing for me in my head, which was, I know that over time, the platform is going to get more complicated, more complex. We're going to add features to it. We're going to add layers to it. So let's try to minimize the amount of complexity day one. I would say that we never, like, our MVP was, we weren't the sort of traditional MVP kind of thing. If we were to have launched as an MVP kind of, you guys know MVP, minimum viable product, yeah? It would have just been like the crowdfunding piece. You collect your money and then this project happens. It wouldn't be the project updates, and probably wouldn't even be the video, wouldn't be the comments tab, wouldn't be all those sorts of things. Probably wouldn't even be the index. What we wanted to create was a community, like a little micro community, a little island that was your project, and talk a little bit more about transparency. So that's, anyway, where that all came from. In terms of the rollout, you know, I think one thing that was really important to us, and this is a little bit of an aside to the question, but I think it correlates back to your own reflection of the question about our rollout internationally. One of the things that was really important to us as a company was growth, but not explosive growth. We wanted to grow at whatever a steady rate was, right? Whatever a comfortable rate was that we could, for lack of a better term, kind of indoctrinate each employee into the culture of the company and become part of the family, become part of the community. We weren't in a race, and luckily I think in some capacity we've never really been in a major race. And so culture, I think ultimately, both from the community standpoint of the platform, but even those internally, was critically important to us. And honestly, I would say if we grew really, really fast and ignored culture, it would have eked out into the platform as well, right? So the inside looking like the outside, it's just like our bodies and health, right? And so, thinking about that with rollout internationally, you've got to think about all these complexities, like different languages, and suddenly now you have to have staff for different languages, and thinking about, well, if I say it in this country versus that country, and we don't want to go through necessarily an automated process that just, Google Translate. You want to actually think about it. If you look at our rollout, right, today, it started out with Canada. I think the next one was the UK, and then Australia and New Zealand. They all speak English. So it's easy for us, right, generally speaking. There's cultural differences. But we started going a little bit beyond that. I think we've rolled out to Germany and so forth. So, it is about this, like, we care about these things. Like, we do care about bringing on new countries, but we also want to do it in a pace that's manageable, that gives us some time to reflect on how we do, and then parlay learnings from that into the next country that we roll out. There was actually quite a distance, if I remember correctly, between Canada and, let's call it the UK. I think that was the next one we rolled out. Canada and the UK. And I think it got a little bit quicker between the UK and New Zealand and Australia, and we rolled those two out at the same time, so that's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Hi, my name is Terrence, and I make things.
Awesome.
And I wanted to ask you a related question, actually.
It's like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting.
When I wanted to sort of get onto Kickstarter and start something, I found out too that you couldn't start a project in Singapore. I wanted to ask somebody, is it a bug? and hang on, is there a workaround?
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
asking.
can't really talk about that.
Okay. I'll take the question way behind. Thank you. Yes.
This is Prabhu. Actually, we are working on.
Okay, wait for the mic.
Hi. Hi. So, my question as a potential customer for Kickstarter.
The front wants to hear. East side, west side.
Yeah, so probably like I'm talking as a potential customer of Kickstarter. So we are working on a wearable tech product for cricket, but since this is cricket and only applicable for Commonwealth countries, so how do you see Kickstarter will be having advantage over Indiegogo or other platforms too, which is like widely spread?
That is a multi-layered question. I don't even know what cricket is.
Another one. Do you see?
Oh, cricket. That cricket. Okay. Got it.
Something like a
Do you
Yeah.
see any pattern on the exact time of the year where the projects are most successful? Like suppose I launch a campaign in December and people are more busy in Christmas and holidays. Maybe that is, like, do you see any pattern in that?
You're thinking too much. Yeah. Analysis paralysis. I mean, there is some seasonality, but it depends on your project, right? Yeah, I don't know. Talk to me later. Yeah, I'm happy to answer that question, but yeah, it sounds specific to your project.
Right. Okay, I saw a hand. Yeah, okay, the gentleman over there. Yeah.
So I'm Ying Quan. I actually launched a product on Kickstarter. It's called Green Pea Cookie. I'm not sure if you tried. It's rather successful. So we're in San Francisco and Singapore. So my question is, how do you guys actually, what's the core strategies that you guys win over the competition? Even though you guys, kind of grew slowly at a comfortable pace, but seem to be effective at growing your community faster. And had more traction and views. When I launched a Kickstarter, organic views were so high. And
when did you launch your campaign?
That was February this year.
Whew, that's a hard one to answer. So I guess on the question of like how did we grow the community, that was a mix of it being super organic. I'll give you an example. Gaming was not a category, like video games was not a category when we launched. It became a category. Product design was not a category when we launched. It became a category. And that's because somebody was like, hey, there's this screwdriver. I can use it to make a car or whatever. And so they were creative reuse of this thing. And that was how these things came about. Actually, I would argue when we first launched, there were no categories because there was 10 projects on the site. Right. Now there's like something like 4,000 at any given time, I think. So, I think the other facet in terms of like how the community came together, or how the community has kind of grown so quickly. Part of it is because there's a number of projects that have grown for sure, and I think a lot of that came from our desire to create a really good product. So there was, I think, trust and faith that was built with the creator. I hope you feel this way because you launched a project. That we care about our craft, and it's about product first. Like, we don't market. So I think for the first number of years, like we didn't even have a marketing team, right? It was the whole, like the product markets itself, and projects market the product, which is very, very true, right? You launch your campaign and somebody backs your project and they're like, that thing that I'm thinking about, maybe I could use this thing. Like literally, that's all it was. But I think the other facet was just our really just deep desire to be wholly transparent. I mean, even on the point of stats, if you go to the site, I think at the top there's an About button, and from there there's a button that says Stats. And every 24 hours we update all the stats live. It's not by hand, it is literally automated. And so it's like, that was always about pure transparency. That was always about, hey, what are the numbers behind Kickstarter? They're right there, it's called a URL, just check it out. Part of that was an efficiency, we were tired of pulling the numbers up. But at the same time, it was about just proving how strong this was. And so I think all these things, even that we've put up some fairly compelling blog posts over the years. And each of those have been about just being forthright with what we believe in as a platform. So I hope that answers your question. But I think that's, it's hard. There's no like quick and dirty for many of these things, but a number of different facets to it.
All right, excellent. Yeah, sure.
Hi, my name is Nicholas. I'm the CTO of the startup here, Surf.sg. My question is, I used to back a few projects, right? More on the tech side, and one of the projects I backed was called Meet Lima. Like this kind of hardware project, it overshot the deadlines. I could read a lot of people building a lot of frustration, threatening, and so on and so forth. And it seems that they forgot that before being consumers, they are backers. So they put their money and ID in a project that might not actually succeed, or might not go through the usual path, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is something you've thought about since day one, and how you're going to tackle this kind of problem. And if you look at today's news, the Pirate 3D, right, is making a lot of noise about not being able to deliver on I think a 2 million plus funding, right? So there's a lot of money involved, and of course, people like you, I mean, usual typical consumer, they won't understand why with 2 million you cannot make it actually.
Yeah. So I suppose the question was about community and fulfillment. So I mentioned earlier these blog posts that we've written. One was Kickstarter's not a store. We wrote a number of years ago. And I think that's a bit of what you were reflecting on yourself in terms of you backing some of these projects and recognizing that you're a backer, not a buyer per se. And the contract's a little bit different. And you're getting into something which is a partially transacted idea, meaning it's not